Before we begin, I want to warn everyone that this video is going to feature some very disturbing material, so if you're averse to violence or disturbing sexual content, you may want to turn away or just listen without viewing the actual video track. Thank you and enjoy the shit show. I thought I'd seen the depths of creepiness the bronies can sink to. You'd think after predators, lawsuit bluffs, and changelings with a staph infection right on their eyeball that things couldn't get any worse. But oh god, it got worse. It got so worse. So this is the story of Draco, who for the rest of this video will be represented by Zombie Napoleon for Resident Evil 4, and his weird and creepy obsession with Starlight and his insistence on harassing and threatening everyone around him. Draco started out being a weirdo about commissions, insisting that he was saving up for money to pay artists, nothing major so far, but he was insistent that he wanted to commission artists now and say that he could pay later. When confronted by the fact that this is not how buying art works, he kind of just ignored it and literally argued with an actual professional artist about the logistics of buying artwork. Usually artists will charge half up front and half when the project is completed so that if someone stiffs them and runs off, they're not out completely. Then you get people like me who just pay the whole thing up front because that's just too much of a hassle to deal with. Draco doesn't seem to grasp this and wants to make plans before he has the money and keep people updated. To normal brains, this translates to annoy the shit out of artists. He didn't listen and the artist he was nagging just got more annoyed with him. He eventually tried to wrangle free art out of Sam, then saying, "Oh well, it's my mom's decision," and "well, I'm almost there," when Sam started talking about payment. It's clear that he's trying to stall in the hopes that Sam will finish it and he can run off with it. In reality, Sam hadn't started anything yet. In some cases, he even goes as far as to convince people to do sketches for him, refuse to pay, take the sketches, and try to con other artists into finishing them. It's like this guy can't do anything without being a sleazebag. Oh, but that wasn't the end of the story. Oh dear. Let's dive into some insanity, shall we? Part 1. Creeping on Starlight. Draco really likes Starlight. Creepily so. I mean, I know all Starlight fans are creepy, it kinda comes with the territory. You can't find her relatable or engaging without revealing that you're a suspicious individual. Oh, I'm only kidding. Mostly. Anyway, Draco is patient zero. He's chosen Starlight as his fictional wife and insists that because of the multiverse theory that there's a universe where he's actually dating Starlight. He's constantly posting other people's work involving Starlight with messages about how Starlight is totally getting ready for a date with him and other really gross comments. Also note that he really overuses emoticons and likes to end messages with haha a lot, which just really adds to the creepiness, doesn't it? Because of this, he aggressively harasses anybody who ships things like Starburst or Star Treks and routinely tries to recontextualize their artwork to somehow change the context. He really hates the fact that Starlight and Trixie are put very close together in the actual show, and once actually tried to hit on a person whose name on Discord was Starlight. They completely screwed with his head and it was great. Then he tried to convince Sam to add his OC to Motherly Scootaloo to ship him with Starlight and saying that Star Trek's being canon and Motherly Scootaloo breaks his heart, and what is this? What in the name of crucifying fuck Christ is this? This is without a doubt the creepiest somebody has ever been about the fictional character they decided was their girlfriend. And honestly, I thought the trifecta of monster fuckers were the worst. This is a whole new level of strange. This goes as far as to edit other people's work to put his own name in it, and either pestering the artist to let him do it, claiming that a friend did it for him, or just flat out stealing people's art, editing it, and claiming it as his own. Actual real art theft going on, and wait, is that 4? Did you edit a Vor drawing to make it look like she was giving birth to your children? And somehow do it badly? Like, what the fuck? What is wrong with you? Like, what is actually wrong with you? What are you? This guy is like the love child of Slash Firestorm and Rebecca Sugar and... oh, there's a mental picture I didn't need. You get the idea. Moving on. Part 2. Creeping on Honeycrisp. Wait, what? Normally I wouldn't be bothering with something like people being weird about the fictional characters they want to fuck, otherwise I'd be taking a deep dive into slightly worse minds, but let's be honest here, you don't get to be this level of creepy without bleeding over into some other shit, and of course he fucking did. Draco is really fascinated with killing Honeycrisp. You know, the precious babu who nobody could possibly hate. Draco decides that what Honeycrisp Tales really needs is fucking cupcakes. He decided to write an impromptu screed about Sonata literally eating honey, and when Carousel complained, he tried to laugh it off. Like, dude, wait, did you just say honey's hair looks like it would taste very fruity? Okay, can we establish a rule that you're not allowed to taste a little girl's hair? I didn't think that needed to be said, but apparently this is the world we live in now. Also, while we're establishing rules, don't vor Honeycrisp. Now I know what you're thinking, yeah, Lily, that's horrifying, but at least he's not, nope, because he insists that honey is gonna grow up to get a lot of attention. Winky face. Now there's a comment that should not have a winky face. Winky faces just make everything creepier, even if it should not be physically possible. Could this possibly get any worse? Part 3. Creeping on minors. Oh god, no. Draco, during the midterm elections, decided that the best way to be convinced to get out and vote was to make sexual comments about a minor. You know, I bet this guy loves Trump. Someone was trying to convince him to vote against the fascists in office, and he comes back with, "I'll consider voting if you make it worth my while." Laugh face, winky face. When given the reason of rapists, pedophiles, and other criminals no longer being in charge of the country, he responded with, "That's not exactly what I meant." Laughing face. When it became clear he was saying this to a 17-year-old, he immediately tried to backpedal by accusing everyone else of having dirty minds, even though he made some very suggestive comments with creepy faces attached just for good measure. By the way, I love this remark from Carousel. You, who eats and breathes NSFW, totally meant that in a safe way. He then tries to play it off as, "I meant something like buy me a soda." JK. Bruh. Stop saying ha-ha at the end of every sentence. You're not helping yourself. But then it got worse. He started hitting on someone after she told him that her age was 15, even younger than the last minor he was creepy toward. He even started telling her how important it was that she know what NSFW is and that not knowing could be detrimental. He's trying to fucking groom this kid. Are there no limits to your insanity? There's no two ways about it. This man is a fucking pedophile. But I mean, we knew that 2 segments ago when he started being creepy about Honeycrisp. Part 5. I am very badass. Naturally, this kind of behavior doesn't endear yourself to other human beings. When you steal other people's work, fail to actually scam them into giving you free artwork, behave like a complete creeper on everyone regarding Starlight, Honeycrisp, and actual fucking minors, they don't want to be around you. So Draco has been repeatedly kicked out of servers and had people cut ties with him, and he responds by being very mad on the internet and threatening people. He goes on about how he wants to beat people senseless for making him angry. He once says about Sam, "I want to punish them," which is just 500 red flags at once, but that doesn't compare to Draco's actual real threats towards Eve. Draco was an unbelievable creep towards Eve for a while and was the main target of his creepy stalking, and he decided that the best thing to do would be to manufacture a situation where one of his sock puppet accounts was presumed to have stolen and edited artwork from her to teach her a lesson. He even went as far as to try and have this other person send her messages, but the idiot didn't even sign out of his own fucking account. He then tries to coerce and cajole Eve into being nicer to him, despite the fact that he's been an unbelievable creep for months. He then threatens to anonymously hack into people's servers, which... it's not anonymous when you say you're gonna do it, you fucking dink. He then goes on to threaten both Eve and Sam that they ought to be extra special nice to him or he'll do terrible things. These are empty threats. Draco can't code for shit and there's no way he's getting people's blogs shut down. But it speaks to the delusion and entitlement on display that he thinks he can do this. And he thinks that because he pretended to be someone else that it's unfair to punish him, which reveals the motivation behind pretending to be someone else, the hope of no consequences. And he has steadily been blaming Eve every time he gets kicked out of other communities for being a creepy pervert who has serious emotional health issues. It's worth pointing out that Sam has been dealing with the majority of this bullshit. He's been harassed and stalked by Draco for daring to kick the little scrote out of her server. He's had to deal with Draco trying to scam her and raging about his art being posted in other servers and yammering on about how she betrayed and hurt him with his horrible criticism. Sam really deserves a fucking medal because she's had to deal with so much of Draco's crap and he doesn't deserve to have that job put on her shoulders. Sam, Eve, and Carousel all deserve medals because they've all been dealing with the brunt of this garbage, and fuck me running with a pair of scissors if anyone thinks I'm not gonna spotlight that. Draco's behavior has so far involved making threats, trying to invoke targeted harassment, claiming other people use his account, creating sock puppets to try and swarm people, being creepy towards cartoon characters, being creepy towards other people's child characters, being creepy towards actual children, and generally being about as pleasant as Nigel Farage riding a barbed wire dildo. On several occasions, he's explicitly said he will ruin someone's life in retribution, often entirely because they told him to stop editing their work with all of his creepy Starlight fetishes. What's worse is the guy is constantly flipping back and forth between making extremely detailed threats and trying to paint himself as some kind of tortured and depressed soul, which... I mean, yeah, if you actually have depression, it can sometimes make you lash out, but that's why you go to a doctor. You guys know why I do this by now. Draco is not just a creepy fetishist and serial harasser. He's also deeply fucking disturbed. His comments about Honeycrisp and toward actual minors indicate that this boy is a predator waiting to happen. Too many times has this been allowed to just sit there. It's time to be proactive and not reactive. This is a very clearly unhinged person who should be forcibly removed from any and all community interaction. If you have this guy in your server or Skype group or even just your
mutual follows, it would be best to remove him and block him as quickly as possible. He goes by the following names on most forms of social media, and it would be best for yourself and everyone else if he was no longer considered welcome anymore. I'll see you next time.